As many of you know, a little over a week ago, Florida experienced a hurricane, and one thing I've noticed that happens quite frequently after a hurricane passes through Florida, we start seeing a spike in boats listed for sale. Kind of like this vessel here, at least this seller though posted an actual video of what happened to the boat during the hurricane, but many times we just see listings that say, boat for sale, great condition, well taken care of, price for quick sell. But if it's priced for a quick sell in Florida right after a hurricane, there may be a reason, so you better use caution. Just like some people should use caution in this week's episode of Boating News of the Week. Our first story to make the boating news this week is going to take us over to Europe in the Scheldt River in Thames, where this was the scene this past week, when two vessels were traversing the river when all of a sudden they wind up colliding. Here we can see a pleasure boat was making its way up the river when all of a sudden, last second, it makes an emergency turn, but winds up right in front of a cargo vessel that was also on the river. Here we can see the pleasure boat actually gets dragged back upriver for several moments while the cargo vessel attempts to come to a complete stop. Fortunately, no major injuries were reported in this incident, and at this time it hasn't been determined exactly what caused the incident, but it's believed possibly that the captain of the pleasure boat was blinded by the sun that was going down in the distance. But eventually the pleasure boat is able to break free from this vessel and get back to shore under its own power, but bystanders did have concerns from this incident, as after the whole thing occurred, the commercial vessel actually continued on upriver, raising concerns as to whether or not this was a hit and run. But local police authorities did confirm that the commercial vessel stopped a few hundred yards up the river and did immediately report the incident to authorities, thus causing no charges to be filed at this time, pending an investigation until they can determine the cause of the incident. Our next story to make the boating news this week is going to take us over to the coast of Australia, where this wild scene occurred just a little over a week ago, when 3 sailors had to be rescued after a group of cookie-cutter sharks attacked their inflatable catamaran several times over a few days. The 3 sailors were trying to traverse from the island nation of Vanuatu to Australia, when all of a sudden the vessel came under attack from the sharks. The Australian Maritime Authority said it responded to an emergency alert beacon around 1:30 a.m. When rescuers arrived at the scene more than 500 miles off the coast of Australia, they found both hulls partially submerged underwater due to damage caused by the cookie-cutter sharks. This really is a strange one. I'm not 100% sure why cookie-cutter sharks would decide to attack a vessel, but it is odd that we're starting to see a lot more incidents of sea life actually going after vessels with malicious intent.
There's many reasons that vessels are attacked by sharks. However, the motivations of these sharks is unclear.
Due to the incident occurring over 500 miles off the Australian coast, the Australian Maritime Agency did have to enlist the help of the Panamanian flag ship, the Dongong Ace, which was able to complete the rescue of the 3 sailors, bringing them on board safely without any injuries. Local Australian authorities did commend the men for being properly prepared to be offshore. The EPIRB that they had on their vessel probably wound up saving their lives.
The emergency beacon absolutely saved their life. It enabled the Rescue Coordination Centre to identify their precise location and tailor the most appropriate and quickest response to rescue them.
Our next story to make the boating news this week is going to take us over to Barcelona, where we're going to talk about good old Walmart. Now, what could Walmart possibly have to do with the boating news? Well, Wally World made it in here because there's some people who, for some reason, aren't very happy with them. The images you see here are of the Walmart heiress Nancy Walton Laurie's $300 million super yacht, which happened to be attacked by climate activists this past week. The wild part of this is actually the second time in the last 60 days this vessel has been tagged like this by activist groups. The images here are actually from July, when a Spanish environmental group wound up painting the vessel and holding up a sign that read, "You consume, others suffer." And then, as we mentioned just this past week, it happened again as 2 activists went and sprayed biodegradable red paint all over the stern of the yacht while it was docked at a port in Barcelona. The words "billionaire should not exist" were written on a banner they unfurled after they did this. In a statement posted on X, formerly known as Twitter, this week, the group Scientist Rebellion confirmed it was their protest that they carried out to denounce billionaires' enormous impact on climate crisis. But I guess Walmart better consider docking this yacht elsewhere, because it's probably going to happen again if they keep it over here. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Boating News of the Week. If you ever see anything crazy happening on your waterways, be sure to hit us up on Facebook or Instagram and let us know, and you might see your stories over here, just like Tobias Lancourt and Picasso West did this week. And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and drop an anchor on the subscribe button here. If not, we're coming to steal your drain plug.